Hi, I am Roxanne Mahoney. I'm a case manager here with Family Source Consultants. I'm a former gestational carrier myself, and I have a bachelor's in health education and promotion. I'm here with Susie Peters and Alyssa Mays. They are colleagues of mine here, and we are here to talk about nutrition and the medical requirements for becoming a surrogate. Alyssa is part of our intake team. Alyssa, why don't you start off and tell us a little bit about yourself and explain some general requirements of becoming a surrogate?
Okay, sure. So my name is Alyssa Mays. As they said, I am the nurse liaison here at Family Source Consultants and also on the surrogate admission side. So my main role is to review medical records, just to make sure there are no concerns for a surrogate to move forward. And then I help a little bit with the intake of surrogates, but most recently help more in the matching part of surrogates. So kind of involved from start to finish in one way or another. And a little bit about my background. I've been a labor and delivery nurse for a little over 3 years prior to this. And before that was in women's health in various roles. So I've kind of been involved in it in some way or another for about 7 or 8 years. I did experience infertility myself and went through various infertility treatments, including IVF, and thankfully have 2 precious 1.5-year-old twin boys now. So that's just a little bit about my background and what helps me in this role. So there are several basic requirements to become a gestational surrogate. Not all of these are set in stone. Each clinic has their own requirements, so they will vary from clinic to clinic, but our general requirements will kind of go over so you know what to expect. One of the biggest requirements is just going to be that passion to want to help others. That should be your biggest driving force, is just to want to help others and help create a family. So that is the most important. And then some of those other ones will be an age from 21 to 41 years old. You want to be overall healthy, not smoke or any illegal drugs, and that's going to include marijuana. Even if that is legal in your state, you certainly don't want to be taking any marijuana in any form, regardless of what your state laws are. You do need to have experienced 1 full-term healthy pregnancy and delivery, and either be raising or have raised a child. So that just helps ensure that you will be able to hopefully, be able to experience another similar pregnancy in the future, and also helps with that bond that you will have with that baby, but then be able to hand that baby over to those intended parents. One of the other requirements is that you cannot be on depression or anxiety medication. So again, there is a little leeway with that. If you've been on them recently, I would encourage you to go ahead and apply. If you're a little bit iffy on any of these requirements, there is some things that we can work with you on, but you cannot actively be on those depression or anxiety medications. You will undergo a mental health evaluation, you and your partner, if you have one. So that would be something that would be part of that mental health evaluation if you have ever been on any of those anxiety or depression medications. You would also need to be in a stable living situation, so a stable home environment, have a stable job, or have a partner that also has that stable job environment. You would not be able to have had any more than 3 previous C-sections. So anywhere up to 3 is acceptable. And then a lot of surrogates are concerned if they have had a miscarriage in the past. There are no set number of miscarriages that would be a concern or be a disqualifier necessarily. Again, each clinic and each set of intended parents will have their own kind of criteria and requirements for that. But I would encourage you to go ahead and apply, even if you have had those miscarriages in the past, as there is no set number for that. And then a BMI of 33 or less is a pretty good goal that we want to be at. Again, if you're just kind of right there on the edge, I would encourage you to go ahead and apply. Maybe you've just had a baby recently and you're working to get that weight back down to where you were before. I would encourage you to go ahead and apply. Miss Roxy is great at being able to help give you tips and tricks to help get that BMI down to around a 33 or less. So I will let Susie go ahead and introduce herself and explain why that BMI of 33 is important when you're planning to become a surrogate.
All right, thanks, Alyssa. So again, I'm Susie Peters. I am actually a nurse as well. I work in case management, so I'm a case manager beside Roxy. I actually have a bachelor's degree in human development and family studies, and also my associate's in nursing. So family studies, just building families has always been a passion of mine. So working along families as they, build through surrogacy is just incredible. So that's part of my job, is literally just guiding surrogates and intended parents through their journey and, helping them along the way. Any questions they have, any concerns they have, I am there to help them. So regarding BMI, one of the reasons why it's so important to actually keep your BMI 33 or less is because if you have a higher amount of body fat, especially during pregnancy, unfortunately, this can cause a lot of complications, especially with IVF. IVF actually has a lower success rate if you have a higher BMI. There's lower embryo implantation rates if you have a higher BMI. And then you often have a lower response to the fertility medications that you're actually required to take in order to have a successful pregnancy. So those are some of the big reasons why you want that lower BMI, especially in starting the surrogacy journey. Throughout the surrogacy journey, having a higher BMI can also cause potential complications. You have a higher risk of miscarriage if you have a higher BMI, and also higher risk of recurrent miscarriage. Some things later on in the pregnancy that could become complications would be higher blood pressure, issues with blood sugar, and even potentially complications in delivery in relation to having that higher body mass index. So that's part of why we really encourage our surrogates to stay in that lower BMI if able, a healthy BMI. I'm not saying too low, but below 33, because it allows them to have that higher chance of a successful pregnancy. And that's why we're here to help our surrogates achieve that. And, even if, like Alyssa said, they're near the cusp, we are here to help them throughout the whole process. So with that, I'm going to cut back to Roxy, and she's going to actually talk a little more about how surrogates can achieve and maintain that healthy BMI.
Thank you, Susie. Yeah, I like how you mentioned. So I know we have 33 kind of being like the high end for BMI, and typically that's what we see for fertility clinics. Some fertility clinics are about 32, so we let 33 kind of be our max. So a healthy BMI range is going to be from 18.5 to 24.9. That's kind of the healthy range, is what the CDC is looking for your BMI, which is your body mass index. So it's really just your height to weight ratio. So it's really just a general guideline for the fertilities to look at your qualifications when you're applying to be a surrogate. What I do to encourage surrogates, when surrogates are just at that 32 or 33 and they just need to lose a couple pounds in order to qualify or to pass medical screening. I work with surrogates and just, there's the little changes in life, right? That sometimes, consistent little changes that will add up and that will make the difference. So sometimes it's, it's just as reducing your carb intake, maybe not having sandwich bread for lunch or a dinner roll, with the evening meal. Other times it's been, I've helped surrogates with making a meal plan to stick with. And again, we don't want to change your entire life and take all the goodies away from you that you enjoy. But we want to make sure when I'm working with a surrogate one-on-one, I want to make sure she's getting nutrient dense foods prior to, because we're going to try to get the BMI to be there for medical screenings. We want to get those nutrient dense foods in her, which is what you're going to get from your dark leafy vegetables, dark leafy greens, your legumes, nuts, seeds. Those are the things that we want to focus on, right? For one reason, we want to, take a couple pounds off for medical screening. And we also want to make sure that she's getting a good intake of that folic acid, right? And having enough iron so that we reduce any of the factors that could lead to like neural tube defects and stuff. Granted, we're doing embryos, right? So those are tested, but for women of childbearing age, that's what we're looking for. So I really do focus on wanting to get adequate protein, whether you're vegetarian, vegan, or a meat eater. We've worked with surrogates on all of that, and reducing carbs, limiting sugars. But I never want to take that away from a surrogate, right? Because we're here to help build a family, and we're still navigating our own life and our own children. So sometimes surrogates are concerned that I'm going to, take away all their other fun foods, and that's not what I'm here for. But really, we just want to make sure we're getting in the nutrient dense foods and focusing on half our plate being, seasonal vegetables too, and seasonal produce. I always talk to surrogates about having what's in season, like eating healthy doesn't have to be expensive, right? Because I do hear that a lot too. Like sometimes, oh, it's so expensive to eat healthy. But if we can shop like the seasonal produce, then that helps keep us fuller longer, gives us the fiber that we need, and really gives us the vitamins to have our body be ready for a successful embryo transfer, right? And during pregnancy, if you've had to adjust, to get to the pregnancy part and embryo transfer successful, you want to keep those healthy habits, to keep your healthy, keep the baby healthy. So all around it can be a great experience, but still keeping, we all still have to live our life. We still have those ice cream nights and, pizzas with the kids, and we keep that same with, during your surrogacy journey. So my focus really is to just do those little tweaks, want to make sure you're having enough water, make sure you're hydrated, prior to pregnancy, because you want your body to be ready for it, right? We want to make sure that your body is ready and giving that embryo the best possible chance to hold on, and you giving it the best place for it to grow for your intended parents. So when I am working with the surrogate, I really am focusing, I know it's like, saying the word over and over, but nutrient dense foods. A lot of times I get my information from the CDC's website. It's a very knowledgeable website. They have a section for, healthy eating and pregnancy and lactation. So I feel like those are, good resources to go to, and where you're going to get like your best evidence-based scientific information. You want to get like the knowledgeable information of how to eat best, and you want to limit your sugars, which we talked about, but you're not going to restrict them, right? Because if we restrict everything for our body, then we're depleting what it needs. So I really just try to focus. As a surrogate myself and a busy working mom, I know that there's those times where we don't eat perfect, right? And we're not looking for perfection, but we're just looking to assist and try to navigate every day a better, the best choice possible with what means that we have at the time. So obviously I'm kind of passionate about it, right? I love talking about nutrition and being a mom and a surrogate, and just trying to navigate all the challenges that come with that. So I love helping surrogates throughout this journey. Some have 2 pounds to lose and some have 20 pounds to lose, and I'm definitely here to support you. And all of the surrogates that I work with, like, just text me a nutrition label if you have a question, and I'm always available for them because I do feel strongly about it. And I think that sometimes we get a lot of misinformation, right? And I think that having scientific-based evidence of nutrition and putting whole foods into our body, putting produce into our body, and protein in whatever form you get really is the best success rate for all. So I will stop talking, right? Does do either of you two ladies have any questions, or do we see any questions coming in?
I don't think so. I think everyone was pretty comprehensive with, why we have the nutrition guidelines we do and why it's so important to keep that healthy BMI. So,
and
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was saying, my experience working with fertility clinics, even if surrogates are right on the borderline, right? Sometimes doctors do and fertility clinics do, have that flexibility, as long as they see where you're at or if you've made progress. It's never like Alyssa. We always encourage you to apply, and we'll work the best with you. And I think fertility clinics, intended parents, everybody is looking for the best outcome during this.
Absolutely. And that's what I was just going to reiterate. Just even if you're kind of right there on the border, just go ahead and apply, because we understand clinics, intended parents, we all understand that we're all just humans, and our weight is gonna fluctuate. There are certain situations in life that kind of affect those things. So progress is the biggest thing, just to show that you're trying, you're actively making those changes. And like I said, even if you've maybe just had a baby or something that it's going to take a little time to get back down to normal, go ahead and start working on that. Take all these tips and tricks and go ahead and apply, and let us start working with you and help you get to that point. And our overall goal, like you said, is just to have a good outcome and to help prevent or hopefully prevent any complications that would come from having a higher BMI. So of course, with surrogacy, there are always these risk and complications, just like with any other pregnancy. But if we can work on having that good, healthy BMI, that lowers some of those risks. So certainly appreciate any tips and tricks that you all have. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen to us today.